to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about the Canon EF 200-400 f4 lens. So I rented this lens recently from Lens Pro to Go just to try it out. I knew I had a busy weekend of sports. We got football, we got soccer, and I knew it'd be a good time with the amount of sunlight that we're going to have for all of the games to try out a new lens that has a really cool feature. And that feature is a built-in teleconverter. So it takes this lens from a 200-400 f4 to a 280-560 f5.6. So having plenty of light is going to be key, being able to use the teleconverter, and I had no issues using it this weekend. So it is a EF mount lens, so I'm adapting it to the Canon R6 with the EF to RF mount adapter. So one of the biggest questions I had for myself is, do I want to run a monopod with this lens? Being it's heavy, it's a little longer. I have a 300 f2.8 and I don't use a monopod. I like having the freedom of just using my body to kind of stabilize and follow the shot. And I find it more often than not better off that way for me. Typically when I use a monopod, I've got to go in and fix my horizons on all my photos because of just the axis of moving on a monopod instead of just moving with my body. Overall, I had a great experience using this lens for football. Being able to have that extra reach from my normal 300 up to 400, or flipping the 1.4 teleconverter and getting 560 was really nice. Now there is some sacrifice not having that super shallow depth of field when they're further away, but if you're filling the frame with the shot at f4 or 5.6, you're still going to have a really nice soft background when it comes to separating them from any distractions that might be on the sideline or in the crowd. Overall, I didn't find this lens to be too heavy to handhold. Now, I am used to using a 300 without a monopod, so I kind of just know ways to kind of like, secure my elbows in and kind of, stabilize it the best I can. It does have a built-in stabilizer, but I wasn't using it in camera or in lens. I just find that sometimes it kind of gets like the noise of the stabilizer in the lens just kind of bothers me. So I just turned it off and didn't find any issues with it being off. My images came out super sharp. I had a fun time using this lens, trying to get some more creative shots, getting shots I typically can't get because I don't have that extra reach. Now, I did use it in soccer, and the heat waves coming off the turf did cause some autofocus issues, but in football, at the same time on the next day, I had no issues at all. That might be because the soccer field is new, or it just has more turf area because it's a bigger field. But overall, adapting it to the Canon R6, I had no issues with the autofocus. Not very often was I missing any shots, and if I was missing any shots due to the autofocus, it's because I didn't have the autofocus point on the actual player that I was trying to get the shot of, because I just was panning, trying to catch it, and having that extra reach, something I'm not used to. The frame was being filled differently and it was a little harder to track. But that's something you could probably get used to if this is a lens that you get, or if it's something that you're typically used to, like if you typically have a 400, you're probably used to that look. But with a 300, I'm so used to that focal length and how that looks that it's easy to follow the play for me. So I think it might just be having that extra reach and everything being so much closer. Just tracking was a little tougher and something to get used to. So, I learned as I went, as I only had a couple days with this lens. I send it back tomorrow, so I'll shoot one more soccer game today. Overall, I really enjoyed this lens. If I'm going to take anything away from using this lens, it's that I would almost prefer a 400 prime. Not very often am I pulling for a zoom lens when it comes to outdoor sports like this. Now, I do usually have a second body with this heavy A200, so anything that comes super close, I typically do have that covered. But when it comes to like the far action on a football field or a soccer field, I'm typically perfectly fine with my 300. So I think a 400 f2.8 would be super awesome to have in the future. I find it would come in handy during baseball the most, and track and field, as you're further back in those sports, the fields are bigger. So I think that extra reach to a 400 would be really nice to have, and would add a nice creative change up in my work. But overall, the lens was fun to use. If I didn't mention it already, Lens Pro to Go has plenty of lenses, plenty of cameras, plenty of lights. Anything you can really think of when it comes to photography or videography, they have it. This is not sponsored. They've never sent me anything for free. They've never asked me to say anything. I've just been using them for years, and I've always enjoyed being able to try out lenses that I might not even be able to afford in the future, or I just don't want to spend the money on, but I do want to try it out. And it allows me to share it here with all of you on YouTube. So with that said, if you would like to see my work, you can check me out on Instagram at Gorilla Photog. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments below. I'd appreciate it if you would like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one.